What's up, guys? Welcome back to the That Dev podcast. My name is Dev. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I appreciate you. We have some tea to get into. I mean, for real. Oh, girl, the tea. But before we get into the tea, make sure you go ahead and follow me at That Dev on Twitter, Instagram, and literally everywhere else, including YouTube. We got it popping over there, girl. Okay? Now, look. I'm sure you have seen Nicki Minaj all over the internet, blogs, whatever. You've most likely have seen her name pop up. And look, here's what I'm going to say. Let me raise my mic. Every time that Nicki Minaj speaks out about something, a couple things. A couple different things happen here, right? Either way, people don't listen, right? But it could go the way of it generally just comes out in whatever way that what she said was factual information, generally just comes out. Or like it comes out in a different way where a man will say it and people will listen to it. So it can be that, or it can just be in a general sense. Because every single time, and look, a prime example would be how, you know, Megan the Stallion and Tory Lanez were sexually involved, and she hid that fact, and that fact was exposed, and people were really going against the idea that that was true, and she knew it was true, but she said that she didn't, and she said that she didn't say it because she felt like it didn't matter, and she probably thought that it would cause people to, you know, view the situation differently. They were going to anyway, so I feel like she should have just flat out said what that was. But yeah, that's a prime example of Nicki Minaj saying something and it coming out and it being true. There are several other scenarios. And I just feel like as time goes on, it gets to a point where people are so far removed from the last time that she was right and that factual information did come out that people are like acting brand new as if it hasn't already happened before. It's so interesting. It's like bitches get amnesia. Like make it make sense. But you know, before I go any further, also because we have to be real here, Nicki Minaj and Jay Z, there's been some tension in between there. And as a person that is New York born, I mean Brooklyn down. Let's be real. I have an immense respect for Jay Z, and when you know an artist tends to be outspoken towards anyone, the fans typically like to belittle that person in their successes in their career and stuff like that. And you know, I've even seen things where people were just like, you know, if you take Jay Z's music away, there would be no difference. And I said, hold on, stop the cap. How old are you? Because there's some serious impact and influence in that music, which is why you get comments from Nicki saying, you're still in my top five though. Like, yeah, you really had some impact in the game and that can't go unnoticed. And I couldn't dare go against that, especially being from New York. No, no, sorry, that's just not happening. But the reality of the situation is they do have some friction going on over there or whatever. So I'm not here to speak on the details really in between that, but you know, things really started to heat up after the Super Bowl. And I know things were bubbling way, way, way before then. But I feel like that was really the defining moment of Nicki really being like, okay, I'm going to be vocal and I'm going to start saying names. I'm going to just be obvious at this point. Like, it's very clear that she has been caring less and less as time goes on. And that's why, and here's what I'm gonna say too. Here's what I'm gonna say too, okay? Because I had to. No, I wasn't with her with the whole, you know, COVID situation, right? I'm not getting into the details of it, but if you know, you know. But I wasn't with it. I wasn't behind it. I was like, log out, queen. Okay, right? So when she mentioned the Democrats came after her because of whatever, I was like, ooh, oh, that's not. I said, "Oh, girl, no, stick to the narrative, please. I know, don't, please don't go off the rails on this one, baby. You got a message because." Number 11 checked in. And if you don't know who number 11 is, go look at Billboard's top female rappers in the ranking, and then you'll get your answer. But it's just interesting that she really inserted herself into the conversation just because she kind of assumed that something that was said was directed towards her because of Spotify. And Spotify has been doing this thing as of recently, big time, where they're just kind of cleaning out streams that, they feel are fraudulent, bots, whatever the case, etc. Right? So obviously that was tweeted about. And well, somebody felt hit. Like if a hit dog will holler, but I'm not going to really get into that. I'm really not. I'm going to leave that where it is. But it's just hilarious to me because there is an album rollout going. And we all know that when there is music coming out, this person knowingly and purposefully has even said it themselves that they want to create certain situations to promote this music. There was a Blackpink collaboration, and that was discussed on social media. A big debacle was made, and it was revealed that was, to help promote the song or whatever the case was. And I was just like, girl, are we for real right now? But anyway, lesson: believe in yourself, believe in your music. That's all that matters. You don't got to do all that. Moving on. So, that was a little, I don't even know what to call that in the midst of, Nicki really speaking to the big dogs, right? Like, whoa, you're over there. the the goats are having a conversation. I don't think that you're at the level enough to where a response is worthy, right? So it's just kind of like, girl, that's why I'm really glad that Nicki stayed focused with her narrative. Because look, Nicki's not discussing anything that's not already public, right? Attention is being brought to it, but the reality of it is there is someone who believes they are his son. And I was just discussing this the other day with a couple of people, and we were just like, you want to know what I mean? Like, a lot of money is being spent for like lawyers and all of this good stuff. Like, there's so many things intertwined with this going on. And I just feel like, what's the harm of taking the paternity test and just kind of moving on with that? I don't know. I just feel like that would resolve the situation, no? Like, and just make it go away. What's the issue? I mean, is the issue more of an ego thing? Like, I don't know. Like, if we go and do this, you kind of control us, or we don't answer to you type thing. I don't know. I'm just curious. I'm just trying to figure out, why wouldn't you want to just resolve this as easy as possible? Because you're just throwing money at it, and we know you got it. But like, come on. Anyway, it's just interesting. But she did bring attention to that, especially. And even though she is kind of eating Jay-Z up a bit, she's definitely going after the main girly. I don't know if you know her name. Desiree. I'm not saying her last name, but T. I remember specifically there was a moment, I think it was around the late 2010s, where she had kind of became this prominent figure in Rock Nation. And she kind of came out of nowhere to me. And I thought it was kind of interesting that she was the head of Rock Nation. I have no idea why I always remembered that, but I remember seeing her face as of recently when she has been talked about in the public media, because even before now, people had been talking about how she was like a Fed and all of that stuff. And I was like, huh? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I thought it was a moment, maybe like, oh, maybe she like kind of snitched or something, like talked or whatever. Like, I don't know, right? And it's just a whole big story. I need y'all to go Google it because I am not talking about that shit. But like, that's crazy. I did not know. Like, but like, it's also just interesting because she, as well as Jay Z, Meek Mill, the prison reform thing, like all of that, like it's just interesting to see where she had come from up until now. And I feel like when you're a person that really goes through that sort of transformation, I don't feel like you go through that transformation without having any like skeletons in the closet. I'm just saying. And I know a lot of people probably may think, like, oh, I'm a good person now or whatever, blah, 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 bing, 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 bing. But, some people have been bitten along the way. That's some tea. And she probably has to deal with that before she can probably actually move forward. That's what it just seems like from my perspective. Because it just seems like something left and right. I mean, you even have her daughter who is really speaking out about her, which is gagging me. I hate that she went on that show that lady that uh old girl number 11 sued T. I hate that she went on there. Like, oh no, we want people to take you serious. That was not the move. But it is interesting. Obviously, Nicki brought attention to that as well. And I don't know. I've just been seeing little things here and there over the last couple of years, honestly, maybe almost a decade, to be honest. So it just seems like everything has kind of come to a head with her. And there's been a lot of issues with Rock Nation. There really has. A lot of people have been speaking about them big time. Look, something's going on. I don't know what it is. I don't know everything. I just know about the tea, and I'm spilling some of the tea, but I'm also like interested because there's a lot of people who know a lot of things, and I'm about to ask some questions because here, I just wonder what Rock Nation's focus is because I just feel like they've kind of lost the plot a little. I'm just saying, they were really on to something when they started Title, and I just wonder also how did that get so messy? Because the reality of it is, Nicki is saying that they owe her way more than just the $1 million payout that she got when they were selling acquisition of the company. And girl, what's the tea? And I know a lot of people are on social media. They're like, "Oh, Nicki Minaj is broke. That's why she's bringing it up." Blah, blah, blah. First of all, look, let's be realistic. Nicki Minaj is not broke. What can make you possibly think that? Really? She continued to do that to her even when she didn't want to, and that tour had already grossed like a disgusting amount, especially for a rap tour. It's the top rap. There's no female in front of it. One of the top, baby. That album sold. Okay? Be for real. So it's interesting to see that narrative when we all know that Miss Nicki Minaj is filthy and disgusting rich. So any claims that reasons that she's being outspoken in regards to her wanting her money is equating to that she's broke. Like that's just not hello. Because you want the money that you were owed from the business. And people were saying, well, she didn't sign this and this and that. And Nikki clocked the tea and she was like, so all of that we signed in front of everybody that's on video, that didn't happen. Like, interesting. So, and she was like, so I guess those NDAs don't matter either, because if that document don't matter, those NDAs don't matter. Because we signed those in front of everybody. And that's really tea. And I know people don't like, look, fine, you don't like Nicki Minaj, whatever, right? But I hate that it's become this narrative for people to say, quote unquote, that she's having this coke rant when she's actually spilling tea. And a lot of people, and this is sidetracked here, right? It gets on my nerves when people undermine a fight that Nicki Minaj is going after, because people are eating today because Nicki Minaj went against people that everyone thought couldn't be fought. People are getting paid for their streams. They're counting towards it. Baby, go Google Nicki Minaj and her fight for streaming rights. Are you joking? Oh, she's taken on some people, lyrically and business wise. Let's actually talk about it. So it gets on my nerves when people try to undermine it, because the fights that she make are for more than just herself. And I think she's really misunderstood in that narrative, because you even have somebody like Lotto, and I cannot stand that situation that happened with her, because it was really a moment of, honestly, Lotto's ego. And I know people don't want to admit that because they don't like Nicki Minaj, but Nicki Minaj was really making a point with the Grammys to really show y'all, like, how is my song that the basis of it is rap with pop elements, how are you classifying that as pop? But also a song like Big Energy that really does the same thing, but probably plays more so on the pop side, and that is classified as rap. It doesn't make sense, because the people making these decisions obviously really don't understand the basis of rap, right? So while she's making that point, Lotto thinks this is a personal dig, and she's like, don't bring up my song, oh, blah, 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 blah. She wanted to really have this kind of, I don't know what kind of moment, I don't know how to label it, but it was just interesting to me, because you really think that that's a moment? Girl, that Grammys moment is a moment for everybody, for every female rapper that decides they want to do a crossover hit that's rooted in rap, so you don't get classified as a pop song. But sure, you're not impacted by it, so no need to stick up for it. Never mind sticking up for her, stick up for the cause in itself. So I don't like when people, because people be like, oh, well, Nicki Minaj's drama overshadows it. I think that people like to overlook other people's actions that may spark Nicki Minaj's drama. Well, open up the box a little bit here. Pandora's, if you will. Girl, she really be saying some shit. And you can say that Nicki Minaj is crazy. Yes, my bitch gets crazy. My bitch gets crazy. Hello. Yeah. Yes, she does. Listen to the message, though. That's the part you're not getting. And people like to, we're really in a time where people like to make it about a fan situation. And I cannot stand that. Don't nobody care about no damn stands. Girl, bye. The grown-ups are having conversations, because honestly, a lot of people who paint themselves a certain way aren't actually that way. And people do idolize these people. So it's just interesting, because Nicki Minaj, she is who she is, and she has never painted herself any other way. So she typically seems to call out people who have this mask on and really hide their hands. There's nothing you can't call her out on, because everything is really out there in the open. Every last thing. There's nothing you can say. So I just feel like people don't really want to go against Nicki Minaj. Minaj. And if they do, they probably have a platform where they have the ability to look like the good guy, because it's very easy for a female rapper, for example, to go against Nicki Minaj because they know they can get social media on their side. And no matter what Nicki Minaj does, she will always have the barbs on her side. And the barbs in itself is like its own weight of social media against the general public. So and that shit cracks me up because, okay, congrats, you have a couple viral tweets against Nicki Minaj. But for every tweet you have, the Barbs have created one, maybe even two. So while you're also demonizing Nicki Minaj and calling her batshit crazy on social media, she's going viral on TikTok right now for a trend that she didn't even start. Literally, it's just a trend of a post she did in a music video a decade or so ago. Literally, like a decade and some change. So literally just an iconic moment of her going viral on social media for no reason is literally just the basis of Nicki Minaj because the bitch is iconic. Hello. Hello. So when she's saying all of these things about Jay-Z, right? It's very clear to me that there is something going on that needs to be addressed. And there are a lot of people who most likely agree, but wouldn't dare, because there are also a lot of people who, when he calls, they get nervous. And that is also the reality. He does hold a lot of power in Hollywood, in the industry, generally speaking. You know, he is a legend, period. Them calling and making them nervous, that makes sense. And bitch, I'd be nervous too. But it's just, it's interesting to see um Nicki go after big dogs because who else would have the balls? And we all know Jay-Z's not going to respond to her. She knows that. But she doesn't have to contact him to get the message across. The message will get across. She knows the blogs will say anything. She sets traps for the blogs because the blogs want to create their own narratives. And when she says certain things, she says it in a certain way that they know that they'll assume and run with the narrative. And once they do, she's like, ah, well, see you for the little change that you got. And I can't be mad at her because honestly, you don't even have to do all that. You still gonna get the same traction that you get because your page isn't based off of Nicki Minaj content. Like, it's still gonna do good. Because even if you do post something positive, the negative comments are still gonna come in. And they don't care if the comments are negative or positive, as long as they get comments. They want to do the rage baiting. But a lot of people really don't realize, like, you don't even have to rage bait for a lot of people who have these big accounts. Honestly, anything that you post, generally, people are so argumentative these days. Like, anything you post, they genuinely will find something to create an argument about. So, like, you don't have to. But it says a lot about the brand, doesn't it? So it's interesting because I know that Nicki believes that a lot of these blogs are paid, and they definitely are. They definitely are. A lot of people call her crazy about this conspiracy, about them. Look, the reality of the situation is, and I look, it is beyond my tax bracket, bitch. But the reality of the situation is, people are out to get her. And I know a lot of people do not want to acknowledge that, but she holds a lot of power. And she's not afraid to go after the big dogs. They know that. And she's smart. She holds the female rap revenue. Why do you think they want to get a piece of her pie? They want to get a female rapper that can run up the features. Hello? That is them creating the new Nicki. And when people say that, they think that they're trying to recreate her specifically. And sometimes, yeah. But generally speaking, it's her narrative that they want to recreate when they say they want to make a new Nicki as well. And people really don't consider that because, good things are happening to this artist. That's what matters. It already happened to you. Now you're bitter, right? But it also goes beyond the artist because there are people behind them. There's a machine behind them, right? And this person's seen the most success that they've ever seen. So you hating on that is nasty energy. But it may not necessarily be directed towards you, but it's also you are the artist that's attached to that narrative now, right? So it feels personal. Oh, girl, that's messy. It's tea though. Messy but tea. I think that people need to they need to hear her out. Yes, fine. You want to say she's crazy? Whatever. Accept whatever the truth is to you. That's fine. But again, like I said, listen to what she is saying. And there will be a lot of people who, over the years, have said little things here and there. It's also interesting to hear her say that, even in regards to Desiree, or I think I said her name right, but but Nicki had been really talking about a lot of the shit that she's really speaking about now. She put it in the music already. And I see a lot of people, I think his name was like Denzel, whatever. And he said something in the comments after he posted a shady tweet. And he was like, well, put it in the music, don't do this. But funny enough, even back to fractions, like Nicki was putting this into the music already, but nobody was really listening. So now that she's really saying it out loud, now she is the drama. Well, am I lying? I'm not, actually. So, argue with a brick wall. Oh, girl. My storage is running dry. Why do they do that? Mhm. I had to fix my storage because I think that Apple storage is fake. I know I see the viral tweets about it, and I totally agree. Something popped up on my phone. Your iPhone storage is full, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Didn't I just like buy storage or something like that? So why am I running out of storage? Okay, make it make sense. Is there a difference between the iCloud storage and then the iPhone storage that's on my phone with all my apps and stuff? I don't really know, girl, but it need to be the same thing. I bought some storage. That's all I know. I'm tired of them. They always Apple's so nasty. Anywho, speaking of Apple, where's Queen Radio? Bring it back, but it needs to be on Apple. I will only accept Queen Radio on Apple. Otherwise, I don't want it. Truthfully, I feel like if she had Queen Radio right now, I feel like it would be such a good tool. And I feel like if she kept Queen Radio on Apple Music, I think it really could have became something. But it is what it is. She moved it to an app that eventually shut down. I hate that for her, but it is what it is. I I I have no idea why she let it go, but I have a feeling she's going to bring it back at some point because I mean, look, she has the Queen Radio Volume 1 EP, so I think that she's going to is it EP or is it I have no idea. I think it might be an album. Who knows? Anywho, a little compilation. She put that together. So I get the feeling because it said volume one, she'll have volume two. I'll be looking forward to that. Anywho. So the whole situation, just in general, with her being on social media, the delivery may be real chaotic. But I Nicki always ends up being right. And that said with certainty, a big amount of certainty. And I feel like I must let her speak without judgment because of it. It's not something where, oh, she was right once here. Oh, she was right once here. Oh, she was right. She was right every single time. She's had some chaotic moments and said some very dumb stuff. A lot of things I didn't agree with. Examples going back to the COVID thing. No. But also a situation with Leanne, Little Mix, and Jesse. Oh no, I will never agree on that situation because that was horrible. I feel like Leanne was really berated. I do. And the whole, I mean, for Jesse, girl, oh no, that wasn't it, Queen. It wasn't. I love her though, but well, we not doing that again. And I could totally understand that those other three, my girlies, probably lost some respect, and I could see, I could see how. I could. Can't hate on them for that. So it is what it is. But I look. The bottom line is that you don't blindly just believe a lot of these people because we don't know these people, right? And I feel like a lot of people get so caught up in they like the way that they stand an artist. The artist can do no wrong at no point in time, and that's not really the reality of the situation. Artists are human. They're going to do some dumb stuff. And chances are, the things that people call them out for, a lot of people have done themselves. Anyway, girl, that's all I really have for y'all today. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning into the That's So Deaf podcast. We stay true and you stay you. I appreciate you. Now, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at That's So Dev on Twitter, Instagram, and literally everywhere else, including YouTube. We kind of popping over there. Drink some water, eat some good food, take care of yourself, because if you don't, who else will, okay? Now, I'm hopping off of here. And again, I appreciate you. And I will see you on the next podcast. Peace.